I've tested thousands of creatives and spent millions of dollars on ads. And in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 best types of creatives for direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. And I'm gonna show you exactly how I would test these ads in your ad account. So the first type of creative is us versus them ads. And stay with me now. This is very easy for you to understand, but it is an extremely easy creative for you to make. It's a very low degree of difficulty, and it is still a winning format in Meta. So obviously what this does is it pits your solution against your competitors and creates a clear differentiation. So in this example, we obviously know that there's tons of fear around energy drinks, negative side effects. What we did was we pit our product against that for people who are already enjoying energy drinks, but are aware of that fear or aware of the issues within energy drinks. Again, easy. Let's get into the next one. And for this one, I need you to listen to me for a second. If you are out there and you can effectively communicate to your ideal customer and you are not making founder-led VSLs, you are leaving so much money on the table. And I can confidently say that founder-led VSLs are 100% the highest converting format for new brands. And I'm not gonna lie, out of all of our clients, the ones who do run founder-led VSLs, those are by far the best performing ads in their ad account. So why does it work? It's because it comes off as extremely authentic. It also builds a lot of authority and connection with your audience. And this can be just why I built this company, VSLs, any personal narratives or stories, or also just any VSL with a script that you already know works, any proven messaging. If you as the founder read off that script, it is going to work very, very well. So the next one, and this is probably my personal favorite just because of how easy it is to do a ton of volume of these, is social proof static ads. And this could be with any review, testimonial, or UGC. And you can do this as statics like I show here, or just a simple review as a UGC video, or maybe a simple 15 to 30 second video where someone is reviewing your product. This also works extremely well. And the main point of these creatives is that they're going to live in the middle of your funnel, right? A lot of people don't have the most trust with a lot of the ads that they're getting on Meta now, because obviously people have been scammed. People have bought products from drop shippers who have never shipped out the product. So this is just an easy thing for you to do with tons of reviews on your site to be able to have a lot of creative volume in your ad account. And it's just extremely low-hanging fruit. This is going to work in the middle of your funnel and it will make you money. And the reason is because there is trust from peer-to-peer validation. So it's very easy. It seems simple, but trust me, screenshot some reviews from your website, throw them on a picture with your product or any of the video reviews that you may have. Trust me, run them in your ad account. They are going to work. The next one is going to be problem solution ads. And this can be done as a static ad or as a mini VSL. And why this works is very simple, because you are actually playing into your customers' emotions, thoughts, and feelings, because people buy solutions, they do not buy products. And this is a perfect example. This is a very simple creative, right? This doesn't look like it has a lot to it, but it is speaking directly to the ICP of people who are using powdered creatine. And if you're out there and you haven't used powdered creatine, it's a terrible experience. It does taste like chalk. So this creative absolutely kills for us, even though it's very simple, nothing crazy. But why are you still drinking chalk really hits when someone who's doing creatine every day is thinking about it every single time they have their scoop of creatine. This is an absolute banger example of how to agitate a pain point and then solve the problem here with the creatine gummy. The next is a true top of funnel prospecting VSL. And I will preface this by saying the degree of difficulty of creating a true winner that's going to live in the top of funnel of your ad account and do a lot of prospecting and heavy lifting for you, it is very high. The degree of difficulty of making one of these types of creatives, obviously it's a lot higher than making a simple us versus them ad, but when done correctly, one creative like this can pull 6 figures of spend in your ad account. We've seen it in multiple clients that we do VSLs for. When we get this right, when we get a true prospecting VSL right, we do scale hard with these. So these are typically going to be story driven, and the idea is that they can turn unaware scrollers into buyers. So they're a lot more broad. Typically, these are served to people who are already problem aware, right? And the typical structure that we used to run, this has changed a little bit since Andromeda. Obviously, we have to feed the algorithm with a little bit more variation, but the old structure that we would run, and this is good if you don't have any top of funnel prospecting VSLs now, you can go ahead and start and copy this exact structure right now. So first, hook, but not just any hook. You want to make this a very hard hitting hook of essentially digging into whatever problem your product solves. The next is going to be telling a story. So after you've hooked them and engaged them, you need to tell a story that's actually interesting and retains the viewer. Then you get into the unique mechanism problem and the unique mechanism solution. And we can go right back up here to this creative to explain that very well. The unique mechanism problem in the creatine industry is this down here. It's the actual powder itself. And then the solution is the gummy. So what you're doing in the third part of this VSL is you're highlighting the problem, right, with customers or people talking about the negative experience that they've had with a product that's similar to yours. And then when you get into the unique mechanism solution, you essentially want to address all those objections or all those negative things, negative issues with the other versions of the product that you're selling. And then you want to get into selling your product. Then after you do your unique mechanism problem and solution, you want to get into risk reversal. And what this means is essentially just like a 30-day money back guarantee or free shipping on free returns or something like that. Then after that, you want to get into testimonials. And this is something I'll give you a little bit of free game here. If you have a winning VSL with good hook, good story, unique mechanism, problem and solution, and good risk reversal, something you can play with is making the length of your testimonial section a lot longer. What I've noticed is if people make it through essentially this entire portion of the video, but then they're not ending up buying, something that you can do is make your testimonial section a lot longer or a lot better, or address the objections that people are having with your product in the testimonial section of your VSL. And that's how you can get a lot more variety, a lot more volume of VSLs done. And that's also just a little hack for you. So prospecting VSLs, if you can crack it, if you can do it well, this is going to make you a lot of money. And again, the degree of difficulty of this type of creative is a little bit higher, but I would recommend it because once you crack it, it is extremely valuable. And the last creative type before we get into the game plan and before we get into how to actually test these creatives is going to be offer-based ads. These are also something that's going to live more in the middle or bottom of your funnel. And what this is going to do is remove objections, typically price objections up front. So with this client, we saw that they had a high AOV and their conversion rate was not the best, even though their website was pretty good and they were doing CRO. So what did we do? We went ahead and addressed those objections in the creatives with obviously financing options so that they know that they can pay with 4 small payments instead of having to pay that entire price in full. And obviously this is pretty simple as well, but why this works is it's addressing that main purchase barrier in the creative itself. So doing things like this in your ad account is going to lead to you having a lot higher of a conversion rate on your website without too much work in your actual website itself. So now we're going to get into how to test these formats. First week, you should test all 6 formats with the same angle. And typically actually how I would test this is more like this, where you have the same angle and then you're testing 5 or 6 different creative types, but you're not just testing one angle at a time. You're testing 3 angles at a time. So that's how you would run it. Test all 6 formats with the same angle, and then you could run, 3 angles in here. And then week 2, you're going to double down on your top 2 performers. And then what I mean by that is not scaling your budget. Don't worry, we'll get there. But what I mean by that is you need to ideate, right? Instead of scaling your budget vertically with those same 6 creatives, and you want to take your budget from $100 a day to $150 a day, what you should do is make more creatives and then put $50 a day on those creatives. And then you're at $150 a day and you have more creatives in your ad account. Then week 3, we're going to do more ideation and we're going to scale the budget with the new creatives that we introduce. And then by week 4, once you have, 5, 10, 15 winning ads with really good KPIs in your ad account, then is when you can start to vertically scale your budget but you still need to be adding new creative into the ad account. But once you have a little bit more creative volume, a little bit more creative diversity, then you can start vertically scaling your ad account, because then you know you're not gonna have to go backwards. So now that we got through that little 4-week game plan, here's how I go through and actually run this in practice in the ad account. So obviously you have your customer profiles up here, but what we really wanna get into is this here. This is how I would test with these creative types. What I would do is identify 3 different angles for your brand. And then let's say we do want to do all 6 of the creatives that I mentioned. Underneath each angle, you should be testing all these different creative types. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to learn as you're testing. Everybody always talks about how the ad account is learning, but nobody ever talks about how they are learning, right? So what you can do with this is, let's say nothing from angle 3 worked at all. From angle 2, we had these 2 creative types that worked. And from angle 1, we had these 3 creative types that worked. Now we've learned something, right? So we have angle 2, and then we have creative 2.1, creative 2.2. And then under angle 1, we have creative 1.1, 1.2, and 1. Sorry, a little bit of technical difficulty there. But essentially what I was saying is, if you have these 2 types of creatives for angle 2 that work, and these 3 types of creatives for angle 1 that work, now you have a lot of room for ideation. So you can make 3 different versions of this creative, 3 different versions of this creative, and same thing with all these. And then you're gonna start to see a trend in your ad account where, you know, maybe 2.1 and 1.3 start to really pull away. So you can create an entirely new pipeline based off of your winners, which we will call pipeline A. And then this pipeline is essentially 2.1 and 1.3. And then you can have another pipeline called pipeline B, and this is going to be for completely new concepts. And then you can have pipeline C, which is going to be the same as pipeline A, except for you're just going to be sending that messaging and the angles and messaging that you learned from your original test to UGC and influencers. And then that can be your pipeline C. So that's exactly how I would do this. I would test with those 6 creative types this Q4. That's what I've seen work across most of the ad accounts that we manage. And yeah, hopefully that was good for you guys. Hopefully you learned something. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. And if you don't want to manage your own creative pipeline this Q4, if you are looking for someone to come in and help provide you with static ads, VSLs, cut up and edit your UGC content, we can manage your entire creative pipeline. So if that sounds good to you, just click the link below. On the website, there's a full walkthrough, like 10 to 20 minutes of how our system works, as well as a couple of case studies and testimonials. So hopefully that was solid. If you made it to the end of the video, comment 2.1 in the comment section, 2.1 or 1.3. And again, don't forget to subscribe. See ya.